Hi everybody. I'm attempting something. I want to start making podcast. So a podcast. Basically, I'm too lazy to edit. So I really wanted for a long time to make something where I can talk about media, talk about various things, movies, things that I listen to, music. Why not have memes in there? I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna make weekly thing where I can just talk. And I don't have to edit. Well, I'm probably gonna use our glorious green screen technology over there. For those of you listening to the audio, this might not be very useful to you, but, well, here it is. So, what I want to make it about, really, this podcast is, every week I'm going to watch some pieces of media. I don't know what yet exactly. I'm maybe going to specialize myself over the time, but I don't know. I'm just going to watch pieces of media and here just going to talk about them in a very unprofessional way, basically, because I'm a professional. Yes, I'm a professional podcaster, and you have to believe my judgment. All right, let's do this. So, this week, not in preparation for the podcast, but just because I wanted to watch media, I watched 3 pieces of media that are pretty interesting. So, first off, I pretty much spent the entire first week just binging an anime, which is a very famous anime, which is Neon Genesis Evangelion. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Also, I've watched The Room and Gandhi. You know, a very varied selection. So I'm just gonna talk about it. I think I'm gonna start with The Room. I think that's sort of like something I've been missing out on for like many years. Me and my friend Zofika, you probably know her by now if you follow the channel, which you probably don't because I have 22 subscribers. So I won't fault you. It's not your fault, although it is your fault. You should be following me. So we saw that there was The Room on YouTube, and we were like, well, we haven't seen the movie. It's supposed to be like the greatest movie of all time, this masterpiece that The Room is. And we just were like, we're gonna watch it, I really didn't know what to expect. I expected it to be bad. But it was odd. I think we had the same reaction with Zofika, which was like, it's bad, but it's like it doesn't feel bad. I don't know if you see what I mean. Basically, like, I always thought like the camera work was like surprisingly decent in the film. I mean, at point it almost looks in a way professional. And I know I'm probably gonna get some people going like, what the fuck are you even talking about, Mr. Spam? What are you fucking saying? This movie is not professional. I think it's mostly due to the fact, like, I have seen already the Disaster Artist. I actually saw it before I saw The Room, so it's a bit stupid, but whatever. And it's like, obviously, when you've got like, I think it's $3 million, it was $3 million or $6 million, the budget for the film. And it's like, you can't make a film for that much money and not at least have it look somewhat like just visually decent, And I think that's sort of what happened in The Room. Even, like, I think he hired actual, professionals to record it. And I'm like, well, obviously it kind of looks okay-ish. It doesn't sound okay-ish. The ADR, the post-recorded audio sounds absolute garbage and doesn't match up with the lips, which is slightly problematic. I think really like the famous scene is the hi doggy scene, which, I mean, this scene is just a disaster from like start to finish. Like it's, I think like the greatest part of it is like the dialogue is just, people start like talking to each other, they keep interrupting each other, and like every time like Tommy says something, then she says something else, then she answers for something they said before, and it's like completely incomprehensible. Like, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't know about this podcast idea. I'm very lost, and I don't know how to talk about things. So The Room, I mean, it was great. I think like the most confusing thing about the movie is whenever there were characters appearing, there were, you know, the characters of the neighbors. I don't really remember. I think it's Mike. There was just one scene when it just started inside Tommy's apartment, and we're just having sex just in Tommy's apartment, in what I assume to be a stranger's apartment, obviously. And the guy who plays Michael is just probably the worst actor of the film, because I mean, he's the funniest actor, maybe after Tommy, and he's like, his facial expressions, I mean, they're ungodly. Then I mean, he just spends the whole movie going like, I'm bad at facial expressions, and you listening to the audio are probably gonna be very confused because you can't see my beautiful face, which basically also on YouTube I guess this is the official face reveal. I think I'm also very confused about The Room, as in how did it become like popular? Because okay, I know it's bad, and I know it's, you know, one of those movies that is like so good it's so bad it's good thing, but like again, like at first glance it just looks like a bad like TV drama, or like a really bad, you know, what is that Brazilian thing, telenovelas, whatever, a soap opera. You know, it looks like a bad soap opera. But I mean, every soap opera is bad, and it's like just a dramatic thing, and it's like, I really genuinely don't understand how it really became famous. I mean, is it just Tommy? I don't know. I think it's mostly because like he's a big personality. I mean, he's kind of imposing as a guy, and you know, maybe it's that, but like it can't be the quality of the movie, just the quality of the movie, because like I've seen far worse. I mean, I've seen, you know, Manos. If you haven't seen Manos, you have to see Manos. This is the absolute worst, and I'm not even like, this is absolutely like, this is the worst movie possible. It's just, I'm gonna talk about Manos for a while now. I mean, it's just a movie when like it's trying to be a horror movie, but it's like nobody can act, absolutely nobody. I think the whole movie was voiced by like 2 people afterwards, and it's like nothing happens for like half the movie, and then when something happens, it just happens so slowly. They didn't understand what editing was when they were making the movie, and it was like they keep just showing long scenes of nothing happening, and the movie is only 1 hour long. Like, it's a 1 hour movie. How do you fail? How do you make a 1 hour movie feel like it's like a 3 hour like epic movie? You know what I mean? It's like it felt as long as Gandhi did, because I'm gonna talk about Gandhi at one point in the podcast. But I mean, it's just incredible. So I guess it's far worse, you know, quality-wise than The Room, and I think that's sort of like the thing that maybe made The Room, you know, stand out. Is that Manos, it's really bad, but it's also very boring. Like, as I said, it feels like you're like an eternity to finish it. You know, it's just incredibly boring. But The Room, at least, like you can, you know, there's some funny moments. You know, you can go, ha, the Tommy's accent is funny. That guy's face is funny. there's spoons in the in the picture frames. You know, it's yeah. I mean, like they're comparing those two movies. They're both incompetent, but like one is just charming in its incompetence, and one is just Manos. And Manos is just, it's not charming, it's just boring. And I think that's sort of like the thing. I mean, I think people wouldn't, I don't know why I'm comparing the two, because I think I'd be like the only one comparing the two. I think to most people they're just completely different kinds of bad, you know? It's kind of like, I don't know. I was about to say the Avengers bad, but maybe this is gonna be an unpopular opinion because I fucking don't like the Avengers, and there you go. I guess I lost probably half my audience now, but you know, as in, there's the boring, you know, there's a lot of different kinds of bad, you know. There's like the boring Hollywood kind of bad. Basically, I think most like big blockbusters, which like it's bad, you know it's bad. Yeah, it's the kind of movies you know they're bad, but you can kind of like, I'm gonna watch it. It's like it's bad, but it's not too boring. It's kind of like, it's kind of entertaining for a while, you know. But then you've got The Room bad. Now The Room bad is like kind of probably the most interesting bad. It's just it's the classic so good, so bad it's good, you know. It's so bad it becomes entertaining. You want to see how far can it go, you know? How stupid can it get? How much can they fuck this up? And then you've got the Manos bad, when it's like, it's bad and you just don't want to watch it because it's unwatchable. It's just, the movie is badly shot, the audio is badly recorded, the dialogue sounds like a 2-year-old wrote it, and you know, everything is just terrible. And The Room is the same, but like I think it's just unexplainable, you know. It's really weird. You can't explain it. You can't analyze why it's good or why it's bad. It's just it's magic, everybody. It's just magic. Magic is the answer to movie making. So yeah, this was I guess my review of The Room. I might come back to it on a later, if I ever do a second episode of this piece of shit podcast, because it's probably gonna be a massive failure. It's already being a train wreck of a discussion. But if I do another episode, I'm probably gonna invite Zofika on to talk further about The Room. I mean, it was a great experience, honestly. I don't think I really didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I mean, it's weird because it's more like I'd seen, you know, clips of it, and I thought, well, I mean, the clips I've seen, they're all just like the basic things I've seen, you know. It's like, the bottle throwing scene, you're tearing me apart, Lisa, the scene, you know, those classic scenes. And, you know, when you've always seen them, it's like, well, I'm gonna be spoiled. I mean, like, I know these scenes, but, you know, it's like, it's funny to see them in a context of a movie. I think Zofika had a pretty, like, positive experience with the movie, as in, like, she said that the story was actually really good. So, I mean, Zofika, as you can see, has very good taste. I mean, I don't know. Technically, yeah, it could have been an interesting story. I mean, it's a story of like betrayal and Tommy being a cock, and you know, and Danny being a huge simp, and that's just. Actually, I just remembered something that didn't like hit me when I was watching it. The whole Danny owing money to a guy. It doesn't come up again. That's like basically, like if you've seen the movie, I should mention that this whole podcast is gonna be just spoiler alert for everything. like everything that I watch, I'm gonna spoil everything. But like at one point, Danny owes a guy some money. You know, the guy like points at him with a gun, and like it just doesn't come up again afterwards. Like he gets scolded by Tommy and Lisa, but then like it just disappears. That plot point disappears. Like the next scene is just playing football with Tommy. This, I think that's sort of like, it's like, I mean, it's like the classic cancer thing, you know? Like, it just feels like Tommy just ideas that he wanted to, you know, he was like, okay, I'm gonna make a film. I'm gonna just put everything in it. It's gonna be a drama about cancer. It's gonna be a drama about drug dealing. It's gonna be a drama about me being a cock, a huge cock. I think I just hit the poor mic here. I'm sorry. But, you know, I think there's no, like, direct line of story, you know? It's like it keeps switching from one idea to another, and, you know, there's the basic idea is just Tommy gets shitted on, you know? And it's like, yeah, maybe if they did a movie that's actually a bit more competent about that could have been interesting, but I'm like, it's just like the most basic story of like, oh yeah, a guy is happy with his wife, but oh no, his wife cheats on him with his best friend. That's like, it's interesting in the sense that it's like always somewhat interesting because there's like human drama, you know, we're human, we love human drama. But I mean, it's been done before. It's just gonna be like, why would you need to do that? I mean, it's again. I think I'm gonna start the comparison that I did earlier with a soap opera, because it just feels like a soap opera. It's just a soap opera. I mean, from the like even the way that it's shot, like it's lit like in the most uncreative way. Like it's like I think the lighting is probably the most competent thing in the whole movie, because it's like every scene is well lit. Like my fucking voice, I can't control my everything is well lit. Basically, everything is very bright, and you know, like it's competent. The lighting is competent, and I mean that's the one competent thing. I guess that's kind of like just in the same thing, you know, soap operas. Visually, they're kind of competent. They know what they're doing. I mean, usually they're professionals. But I mean, you can't treat a movie and a soap opera the same way. Like, clearly, I think that's the whole thing with, you know, Tommy hiring, you know, professionals to shoot his film. You know, I think like it was like he like hired a whole team of people. You know, I'm basing my very high research of the disaster artists, and in that, I mean, you see that clearly there are people who I won't say are like huge people in the cinema industry, you know. They're like, from what I've seen, just guys who have maybe like a diploma or something, whatever, but it's their job. And like, unlike Tommy, who doesn't fucking know how to make a film. And like, obviously your movie is gonna look and, you know, maybe sound okay, but it doesn't sound okay. So no, that point is useless, Mr. Spam. But you know, you can't make a good movie if it's just well shot. You know, it needs to be at least somewhat creative. That's the same thing as most, you know, like B movie Hollywood movies. You know, like you know, those epic movie, love movie, you know, that whole series of like bad comedies that just shot. It looks like a YouTube video. Those movies, you know. It's like, yeah, it's competent. The video is well balanced. You know, it's like, it feels like a. I know what I finally found a good like allegory for the room. The room just feels like it's like a film student like test shooting, like a first year film student, because any later film students would be like, what the fuck is this? But it honestly feels like a film student's like demo reel, like to get hired at like a bad TV station. Like, look at my film. I made a film. It is right there. It is called The Room. And look at my very good camera work. Please hire me as a camera work. As camera workman. I can't fucking speak. Oh my god. This is a disaster. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say about The Room. I should probably like figure out, I don't know, a counting system, like a rating system for the media that I watch. I'm gonna give it a solid. I'm gonna steal Anthony Fantano's. I'm gonna steal the needle drop rating system. I'm gonna give it a solid 5. Five sounds like I don't know. The Room is difficult to rate, you know. It's like, do I rate it as a movie? Do I rate it as an experience? Because as a movie, it gets no point. I mean, it maybe gets 1 point for the lighting, but no points. And I guess I'm gonna do a point system. So for the movie itself, no points, 0 points, absolutely nothing. For the acting. 2 points, because honestly the actors who played Lisa and the I don't know what, Greg Sestero, you know him, they're actually, you know, fairly decent. I mean, they're not good, you know, but like if I saw them in a movie, I wouldn't be like offended by their performance, you know. Unlike like, you know, Tommy or most of the other actors, I wouldn't be like, this is just bad acting. So I'm definitely gonna give, like, I guess 2 points to the performances. Now for the experience, I generally recommend like watching it with a friend, as I did with Zofika. Actually go watch it with Zofika, go spam Zofika and tell her, hey, can I watch The Room with you? That's gonna be a very good thing to do. Because really it's more fun to like notice little details together, like, you know, the spoons in the picture frames, you know, like, yeah, it's funny when you see it yourself. You're like, oh, here's a spoon in a picture frame. How quaint, how hilarious. I'm basking in the hilarity of a spoon being in a picture frame. But when you're with a friend, it's like you both notice it, and it's like suddenly it becomes like this entire detail that you can start talking about, you know? Like, and there's so many little details like that I think you should really watch it with a friend. So for the experience, I'm gonna give it a solid 8. And that is all I have to say about The Room. This is the end of part 1. I guess I'm gonna do it different little parts. Okay, fuck it. And I'm back. I took a little break. Okay, I'm probably gonna break up these episodes into like every segment. I'm probably gonna do like 3 pieces of media a week. Hopefully I'm gonna watch 3 pieces of media every week. Otherwise I might just pull media out of nowhere, out of my ass. Maybe things I've already watched before. I'm gonna see. This is pretty experimental. We're very experimental in here. So the second piece of media I wanted to talk about, which is the media that really occupied most of my week and is really the one I wanted to talk the most about. It's kind of like the reason I started this podcast, because, well, like, I've always wanted to be able to talk about, you know, things, on whether it's be on YouTube, on Spotify. I don't know where I'm gonna upload these, but whatever. And you know, I thought a podcast would be a good idea. So the piece of media is the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's a very famous anime. It's most of you who are knowledgeable about anime are probably gonna sort of make fun of me for not having watching it before. But I'm not an anime watcher. I've watched a few animes, a few animated Japanese series. I think I did watch One Punch Man. I watched that volleyball anime, which I forgot the name. And actually, the fact that I'm talking about the volleyball anime is pretty interesting, because this is the reason I wanted to watch a new anime, because anime has been sort of my go-to while I'm eating sort of piece of media. When I'm eating lunch, I'm eating dinner, when I'm coming home, I'm like, I want to watch something, and anime just sort of usually they're very simple, they're very lighthearted, there might be some action scenes and everything, and well, I thought I heard a lot of good things about Neon Genesis Evangelion, and the thing is, everybody who talked about it just said that it was, an anime about kids fighting in giant robots. Wait, hold on. There you go. Most people who talked about it said it was just a giant robot anime. What is the famous one? Gundam? Is that the famous one? Most people said that was what the anime was about. Those of you who know the anime, who have seen it, know that it's not what it's all about. So you can imagine my surprise when the anime ended up being about depression. It's a very complex anime about depression. I did not expect that. And I was absolutely confused for the first episodes. When I just saw a kid crying and screaming. The main character just screams all the time. This is incredible. I'd never seen a character scream so much in a movie or an animated series. It's my God, does that kid scream? But then again, it's the whole point of the anime is there's this kid, he's been abandoned by his dad, but then his dad wants him back because the kid can pilot a giant robot, which we learn are aliens, but they're humans. I didn't get that part. That part is confusing. The whole thing, I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch, or I don't know, I saw there were remakes, so maybe I'll understand it better in the remakes. But this is confusing. The whole thing is just very confusing. And it takes some time to become really good. I think really early on, it was alright in the sense that it was sort of what I expected. They were kids, they were fighting in, giant robots. It was fun. Wait, hold on a second. I'm just gonna. There you go. It was fun. It was a kind of, you could see that it was meant for the youth of Japan. Hold on. There you go. But after a while, I think it was episode something I think it was maybe 18 or something. Again, as I said with the room, I'm definitely gonna spoil everything. It just starts becoming madness. This whole thing is just madness. It's madness. I'm it starts becoming there's the way that it's edited. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I don't know whether it was purely out of maybe lack of budget, or just genuine the need to make something creative. But there's a lot of times where it's just made in a way that's just really weird editing. There's weird montages. There definitely should be an epilepsy warning in front of the show, because there's a lot of episodes where it just gets crazy with that. Yeah, shit, I think I went on a tangent, and I was originally talking about what the show was about. So yeah, it's about this kid who gets abandoned by his dad, and his dad want him to... This podcast is a disaster, is what it is. So I think this podcast is gonna be about depression, about my depression, trying to make a podcast. So this is fun. Yeah, that's the main theme of the anime. That's just kids being depressed. Like, you've got the main character, so his whole angle of depression is, okay, my dad abandoned me, and nobody likes me, I'm useless, the only reason I pilot the big robot is because I have nothing else to do in my life. Classic depression. Then you've got the red character. I don't remember any of the names of the characters, so I'm like, don't be offended if I just don't know the name of the character. I only watched the anime once, and I don't know Japanese. So the red character, she's like, her depression comes from, okay, she wants to be like the best. She doesn't like that main kid gets all the attention, and she's depressed. Also, her mother killed herself. That's always, fun. Yeah, that's the depression of little red person. Also, she's German. I guess that's a good reason to be depressed. Who would want to be German? Okay. That's yes, then there's the other girl, which I forgot also the name of, which we discover at one point is not actually really a girl. We discover that at the very end of the anime, so I guess that's like a huge plot twist that, oh my god, she was created in a laboratory, I guess. It's very interesting. I think from what I got, the little girl is like a reincarnation of the main kid's mother. This again, as I said, this is confusing, and I know there's like a huge like fan following of the anime, and so I'm probably gonna get a lot of people screaming at me for not knowing, what the fuck is going on in the anime. But it's not obvious, and I think from what I've read, I mean, people shouldn't be screaming at me, because like, from what I've read, it's kind of even the main creator is like, no, this is open to interpretation. You can see the meaning you want. And I'm like, okay, so what was the whole deal about, his mom? Like, every time they talk about his mom, they talk about how the weird little girl like as a link to her mom, like to his mom, like it's like every time people say, oh, but the two look really alike, and she was born when the mom died, and it's like, but like they don't explain it. They don't explain anything, and it's both. I think it's both genius and it's both like just confusing. Like, it's genius in the sense that like it's nice. I mean, it's nice to, for once, I think the main thing I often don't like about animes, it's like they spell everything out for you. They're even if they show something that is linked to something that happened before, then gonna put 10,000 flashbacks to remind you of what happened before. This series doesn't do that. They force you to remember. So if there's something you forgot, that's on you. Try to remember it. And it's kind of difficult to follow, and I don't know how, like, when it aired, how people would have done it. I mean, maybe you could say, oh, it's another generation, they remembered better, and fuck, like, shit like that. But I don't see, like, I watched like every episode nearly back to back. I watched it over a period of like 3 days, with watching like 1/3 of the anime, every day. So, very long watching sessions. I think the whole thing overall lasts 9 hours. So, every session was like a 3-hour movie, And I think I would really have struggled with the story. I mean, I already did struggle with the story, but I would have struggled even more if like I hadn't watched them back to back. If I had watched like one episode, I think, like, imagine like a week, I would have been absolutely lost. Maybe, and I'm not even sure they came out like weekly. Maybe they came out every 2 weeks, so I don't know how they did it, but like, I would have been fucking lost, man. Like, and there were very few episodes where there were actually recaps. Now, I don't know if, on the stations that they aired, they actually made recaps. Maybe they did, but Netflix obviously didn't, because I did watch the series on Netflix. So, and I would have just lost, and I was already lost, so I would have been even lost. Talking of this, I think one thing that genuinely sort of like gave original expectations for me for the anime was what I'd heard about it, and I'd heard a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I watched it when I was young. I'm very nostalgic about it." How are you nostalgic about this? I mean, no, not how you're nostalgic is not the right thing. It's more like, why did you watch this as a kid, and how did you like it as a kid? I would have watched it as a kid, I would have been just confused and like, what is going on? Why, for example, why is that like 14-year-old kid not happy about driving a giant robot? That's like every kid's dream, right? And that's sort of like the main theme of the whole anime, is that it doesn't like piloting it, And as a kid, you can't understand the morality and, philosophy behind it. And I think that's just why it's sort of like, why did you watch it and why did you like it as a kid? Also, there's a lot of like gore and blood, and there's some swearing in there. Your parents are irresponsible. Irresponsible. They shouldn't let you. Don't let your kids watch this. It's like, it's fucking. There's a kid literally screaming throughout the anime because he's depressed and he's unhappy. That's not something that's gonna make you happy. And like, I think I'm gonna talk about the 2 last episodes now, because that kind of works with what I say. 2 last episodes. If you're not interested in, big psychological drama, that's not gonna interest you, because the whole thing, there's like static images and text. And I think I should say that I actually love it. The 2 last episodes are actually my favorite of the whole series. I fucking love the last 2 episodes. But most people, I think, like, if you show them to somebody who genuinely thought this would be an anime that was only about giant fighting robots and didn't give them the like context of why this episode, like, let's imagine you change the entire series to just, oh yeah, it's about this kid who's depressed, because the last 2 episodes, then they don't even talk about the robots anymore. Like, they're out of the picture. Like, what happens in those last 2 episodes is basically the main kid is absolutely fucking like depressed. He's gonna fucking kill himself because he's had to kill another kid who was apparently an angel, and the angels are basically what they fight in the series. I should have maybe talked about that before, but I didn't, because I'm a bad podcaster. So basically he's depressed because there was a gay romance between him and the other kid, which got censored in the Netflix release. So thanks Netflix for being homophobic. That's always fun. Thank you, Netflix. So he's fucking depressed, and then he goes like on a crazy like inner like quest to find happiness, I guess. There's like the other characters start talking to him. They go like, oh yeah, nobody likes you. And the very end is sort of like the hopeful, oh yeah, but look, you just have to learn to love yourself. And what a great thing. But honestly, it's just really great. And the whole episode, the whole 2 episodes are sort of told in like a there's a lot of written text on the screen. It's like sort of like it feels like you're asking questions to the main character who then answers, and it's really well made. I actually really like these episodes, and there's a lot of like weird sound effects and really weird video effects. It's great. I don't know how to talk about it, but it's great. You should really watch it. Now that I'm talking about the end, I thought I might talk about the end, which is the movie that was based on the show. Well, it's not like based on the show, it's more like a continuation of the show, basically, from what I heard. They originally had a different ending planned for the show, but the TV channel that they were supposed to air the show on didn't like it. They read it, they were like, that's not gonna fucking air. There's like people dying in it, that's not good. So after the show aired, and they saw, oh shit, the show has become like super popular, what can we do now to follow it up? And they made the movie, which is the original ending that was supposed to air, except now it's got a bigger budget. It's great. I didn't like it as much as I liked the show. Basically, the movie acts as like a replacement for the last 2 episodes of the show, and it's a different ending that's far more depressing. Like, basically, in this one, everybody dies. That's my synopsis of the end of Evangelion. Everybody dies. In the anime, everybody lives. It's like, oh yeah, now that they've beaten, the angels, which are like the main enemy of the whole, of the whole series. Now they're like, okay, we have time to learn to love ourselves. It's good, whatever. It's wonderful. Now, in the movie, it's just, well, now that we've beaten the angels, time for everybody to die. In the movie, the main character is still just as depressed, if not even more. It's kind of clearly a little more like twisted, because I think they could afford, because it was in the movie, and cinemas aren't as restrictive as television when it comes to what you can and cannot show. And I think the movie is a lot more focused on him struggling to find people who like him and people who he can trust and everything. And throughout the movies, there's this whole like, he wants to the only person that he feels he can trust is a red girl. But she's in a coma, and then once she's not in a coma, she's dead. So that it's, in either case, that's not very good. And it's like he keeps just wanting to find love with kind of anybody, and it's just a movie about depression again. And at the end of the movie, everybody dies except him. Like, at the end of the movie, he's just alone on Earth, on a completely ravaged Earth, and it's like, this is fucking depressing. Like, I think the main problem with the movie compared to the ending of the series, the official like TV ending, is the at least in the series on TV, it kind of changes the whole atmosphere, of the show. Throughout the whole show, you were fucking depressed because he kept like injuring people, he kept being hurt, everybody was being hurt, and then at the end it's like, oh look, but in the end everything can be right if it's got a good message. It's like, if you have a good self-esteem, then already things can start being better. If you don't love yourself, then nobody's gonna love you, whatever. That's the main theme of the whole show. The movie just feels like, it really feels just like a continuation of the rest of the 24 first episodes. It just feels like, well, everybody's depressed throughout the show, and everybody's gonna be depressed throughout the movie, and everybody's gonna die, and it's gonna be great. And it's like, yeah, no, I didn't like it as much. It was very well animated. I will give them that. It was really good. It was good, but like story-wise, it wasn't, and thematically wise, is that a word? Thematically, yes. I'm not English, in case you couldn't tell. Thematically wise, it just didn't click with me as much as the series did. There's also something that I'm gonna watch, which is maybe gonna help me understand it. I'm gonna watch the remake trilogy. So if I do another episode, which I'm right now, I'm thinking that I most likely won't, of this shitty podcast, then I might talk about it once I watch the remake series, which is weird because apparently it's also like a third possible ending to the show, which is like, how many endings do you need to a show? Can't you just fix yourself on one? Madness, absolute madness. That's I rate this whole series and film just madness out of 10. The everything gets just madness points. Madness. Mad. Okay, here's a break. And I'm back again. So this is gonna be the final part of this this disaster, this train wreck of a podcast. So hope you enjoyed what you've been watching so far, and hopefully you will not you will not have left. You will not leave right now. Okay. Hold on a second. There you go. So the last piece of media that I wanted to talk about, which I watched actually just yesterday night, so it's fresh. It's very fresh. I actually more like finished watching it. Let's see, probably about 10 hours ago. So very good as I'm speaking. So it's completely French. It's completely fresh. The movie is Gandhi, the 1982 movie about Gandhi. It's Gandhi, which I think director Richard Attenborough, who plays the doctor in Jurassic Park. For some reason, I guess he's a director. He also directed a few like other biopics. I guess that's sort of like his thing. So I'm kind of mixed on Gandhi. I'm not. I'm not mixed on like the personality. The real person who is Gandhi is a very good man. Philosophically, I don't care about philosophy, but philosophically, he's a guy who I like. I'm a huge Gandhi fan. I'm a fanboy of Gandhi. But the movie, I don't know. It's debatable. It's very biopic-ish. I think that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to link things, but there was a video about mostly musical biopics, but I think it's sort of like it can definitely adapt to like most kinds of biopics, and it's about how they're all the same in the sense that like they're just making a review of the person's life and giving every single piece of element. And I don't know, it's like, while it's always interesting to know about somebody's life, it's like, okay, cool, things happened, there's no like direct line of interest. I don't know if that's the right term, but basically if you don't focus on a particular aspect of their life, I think to me that's a bit of a problem personally. Like, a movie is about a subject. You can't just say, oh yeah, the subject is a character. Like, a character can't be the it's a character study, I guess, but I don't feel that that's a very strong way to make a movie. I think it's also the way that things happen around him and shit like that, and you need something to focus, I think, on a more specific, like maybe time period. I think one of my favorite biopics was the biopic about Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. I don't remember. It's like Love and something, whatever. But that's good because like it focuses on two very specific time periods of his life and manages to link them. Gandhi just does like a chronological thing of his life and just sort of like does a review of everything that happened in his life. And it's like, while it's interesting, it kind of just feels like a history lesson. I don't know that I want to. I'm not sure I want to feel like I'm watching a history lesson while I'm watching a movie about Gandhi. You know, why not focus more on like exactly what, I don't know, forges his philosophy? I'm trying to figure out things, but like I feel like this could have been a movie that could have lasted, you know, like 2 hours. You cut an entire hour. I don't want to sound too negative because I did, you know, quite like the movie. I thought it was, you know, pretty entertaining in a, you know, in a big epic, you know, like movie, like think Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, you know, that sort of really big sort of historical epic. It feels like Gandhi should have been a movie made in the 1960s, mostly because I think in the 80s, like the whole, oh yeah, cutting a movie into 2 parts with an interruption, so that's a 3.5 hour movie. It was kind of already a dead genre, you know. It was like back in the days when going to the cinema was like a big experience. And I don't know, I think it just felt a bit too long and a bit too like too everything. Well, there was too much. This movie was a bit too much. The acting, however, was very good. I don't remember the name of the guy who plays Gandhi, but he played him really well. I really liked him. I don't fucking know what to say about this movie. I mean, that's the problem. I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying about The Room. Well, Gandhi is not really a boring like movie. It's more like in the same category as like, I don't want to fucking compare this movie to that, but same category to the Avengers. It's like a old version of the Avengers in the sense that it's like you've got a lot of famous actors, and it's just a really big story, and it's like I can't talk about this. It's like, yeah, it's really well made, but it's not wonderful. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't stand out particularly, aside from the fact that it's 3 hours long. You know, I feel like you could have done the same formula with any, you know, famous historical figure, and it would have been sort of like the same. I probably would have gotten the same experience out of it. Like, you know, you could have made a movie about, I don't know, Winston Churchill, whatever, and I probably would have felt the same thing, you know. The problem with a lot of those biographical movies is that they always sort of follow the same trend of like, okay, we're gonna have the same formula. You know, it's gonna be the same way that the characters interact. Like, oh yeah, the characters to, you know, start from a place where he's not happy. Then the fact that he's not happy is gonna motivate him to become happy. You know, to start to work the things. Oh yeah, but of course the characters to have a lot of conviction and things like that. Of course, at the middle of the film is gonna have a fallout where he's like, his philosophy starts to crumble and thing. And I mean, it just gets very boring. And that's the same for like every biographical movie. Like there was, you know, I think one of the worst offenders was the movie Ray, about Ray Charles, which is kind of in the same way that that Gandhi is. It's very long. They both start about, oh yeah, they're both very unhappy, and oh, they work in, you know, inequality places and things like that. Well, that's the worst part. That could be a very like interesting and relevant, you know, story to tell. But like in Ray Charles, there's the story about, oh yeah, he's unhappy because you know, America is racist. He's got a shit ton of women, you know, for him. He's got to deal with his band. Like there's too many. Oh yeah, there's like, he's trying to find his creative voice. He's trying to become, you know, popular, and it's like there's too many little stories mixing each other. You know, make the movie about just his wives. You know, make the movie about his band. Try to make a movie that's more specific. That's very annoying. I really don't know what to say, but it's like those kinds of movies you have to figure out an angle to approach them. That because the thing about biographical movies, it's like you kind of have to treat them like a documentary, because that's what technically they are. They're like reenacted documentaries. And a movie and a documentary, not just whenever you're making a documentary, you're not gonna make a documentary about everything around you. You can't just make a documentary about somebody you find in the streets. Although that would be very interesting. But you're not gonna make a documentary about somebody in the streets and just say everything about his life. You can make a documentary about somebody on the streets if you focus on something stupid, but on what his job is, and what exactly his job is, because that's something very specific. You can sort of approach a lot of details in this specific little area, but you can't just talk about, he's working at this job, but also he's got a wife, but also he's got children, and then you focus on his children and what's going on. That's just boring. That's and uninteresting. Again, Gandhi wasn't too bad. It wasn't a bad movie. It was pleasant, but it's definitely not gonna be a movie that I keep for a long time in my mind. It was an interesting experience. But not. I would recommend it if you're interested in history, because again, I heard it's a pretty accurate movie to history. If you're interested in history, whatever, watch it. But overall, no. I don't really get that much of a recommendation, I guess. If you're a Gandhi fanboy, maybe you're gonna like it, but whatever. So I'm gonna give it, let's see, for the film itself, I guess I'm gonna give 6 points. I really don't know this rating system. For the experience, I guess I'm gonna give 4 points. For the acting, I'm actually gonna give 8 points, because as I said, acting was great. None of the actors were bad. A lot of them were, they were sort of big stars, so you could see that they were just sort of acting as. I think a lot of the characters didn't have personality outside of the real main ones. Yeah, you had Gandhi, which was nice. I think it's something Kingsley, the actor. I don't remember his name again. But his character obviously is interesting, but the others mostly feel like they're sort of side characters. They're well acted side characters, but they clearly didn't do as much research on who they were really, and they sort of feel empty. They just exist as leeches on the character of Gandhi. They just feel there's Gandhi, but we need other characters, and they all live in relation with Gandhi, and it's I don't know. They don't feel like they've got a story outside of the movie. So yeah, but still they acted well. There were a lot of stars, so I don't know. It felt okay. So 7-8 points. I'm gonna still stick with 7 points for the acting. And there we go. Would I recommend it? Meh. As I said, meh. So yes, that was Gandhi, and that was the last piece of media for MR.SPAM podcast of this day, of this week. I'm gonna, have an inner discussion with myself as to whether I should continue this piece of shit, because it was kind of a disaster, this podcast. I'm very unhappy. I'm gonna go on the same depression that the kid in Evangelion went through. So yes, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll maybe see you next week. Bye, you hoes.